Baseball is back, and at Team Toyota, savings and selection are back too. With tons of new Toyota SUVs, trucks, and hybrids to choose from, and with our lineup of over 200 certified used Toyotas, you can find the right fit for you and your budget. Plus, our service and collision centers are here to get you back in the game in no time. Visit one of our 3 locations in Princeton, Langhorne, or Glen Mills, or online at teamtoyota.net.
I'm really good. I mean, I really am. I don't want to, put that out there and everybody go, what's he talking about? But I know when I'm going well, and I'm one of the best in baseball. And, like I said, I'm healthy, I'm strong, I feel great. It's just putting myself into plus counts. I haven't done that. I mean, you guys have seen that, and I haven't done that. So if I get into good counts and don't swing it crap away or in or anything else, then, I'll be right where I need to be.
Well, that's amazing to hear. Bryce Harper coming off a 4-hit game where he had 4 extra base hits, 3 doubles, and a home run. How good is that to hear, Sean Kane?
It is very good to hear, Spence. He was terrific Wednesday in San Francisco. You mentioned 4 extra base hits. First time in his career he's done that, believe it or not. And just it was all pretty much left center field to center field, and that's when you know he's going well. That's when you know the timing's back. Driving the ball the other way, the home run, then the 3 doubles. He was locked in, man. He was on his game, came at a great time because the concern was starting to mount. Like, when's Bryce going to start driving the ball again? It had been a while since he had an extra base hit, a home run, and he answered that and then some Wednesday in San Fran. Man, it was good to see him driving the ball specifically the other way. And
he mentioned that he had those should have been 3 home runs in reality. That he should have had 3 home runs today. Man, it's just so good to see 3 get back. And because we just talked about it on the last podcast of how this guy needs to get going. And heading into Tuesday's game, he struck out 14 times over the last 7 games. Mm-hmm. He had no strikeouts on Tuesday night. He had 1 K. It was the only at-bat that he didn't reach base. But man, God, it feels good to see Bryce Harper like that. Well, hey, on that note, welcome to the Phillies Talk podcast, presented by Team Toyota. I am Spencer Kircher, joined by Sean Kane. And we're sitting here after the Phillies 13-0. We'll take it. Obviously, the white flag should have been waved at one point in that game. And we had Mike Yastrzemski up there throwing meatballs at Kyle Schwarber's head and all that fun stuff. But the Phillies, they do avoid the sweep. Oracle Park has been a disaster fire for the Phillies. They are now 4-18 since the start of 2018. Is that right?
And I know going back, if you go even further back to 2015, they are 7-25 in their last 32. So it's been rough. Obviously, Tuesday night was rough. Wondered how they would bounce back on Wednesday. And not only did they win, they really made a big-time statement. And it started with Jesus Luzardo throwing zeros. And, Bryce got the offense started with the home run, and they busted it open in the later innings. But, just a good all-around win that they really needed. Didn't need to be swept out of San Fran, and to get a win, as you just said, at a place they don't win very often was good to see.
Yeah, and the 13 runs, the most runs they've scored in a game this season. Yep. And it just everything clicked. Everybody in the lineup had an RBI. I can't remember the last time that's happened. Yeah, they had 17 hits, I believe. 17 hits. Yep. They held the Giants to just 4 hits. Obviously, no runs. Also, the Giants' terrible defense. They had 3 errors in the game. Yeah. But we'll get to the lineup real quick. You just mentioned Jesus Luzardo. Mm-hmm. What can you say about this guy's season? Obviously, he's now sitting at a 4.14 ERA. 3 bad starts has that ERA skyrocketed. Yeah. But he comes in, shoves tonight, and 7 innings, 3 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. I mean, what can you make of this guy's first half?
Yeah, it's an interesting way to get to a 4.14, like you just said. First 2 months of the season, he was sitting at a 2.15 after his first 11 starts. And then was up over a 9 in his next 7, because those include the disastrous starts against Milwaukee and Toronto. Kind of righted the ship there, had some nice outings, one really nice outing against the Mets, pitched okay down at Atlanta. We thought, okay, and then really discouraging start against Cincinnati, his previous time out before he came out today against San Francisco. But he was great. Set the tone early, had the swing and miss stuff going. In the pregame show on Wednesday, we kind of did a little breakdown with Ricky Bowe about how he's been getting tattooed out of the stretch. They made some adjustments. They thought he was tipping pitches in Toronto, so they kind of adjusted a few things with his stretch and how he was holding his glove, as to not, when there's runners on base, specifically on second base, they can't see into his glove. So he kind of had it turned a little bit, which is great. But then he just couldn't get anybody out of the stretch. I mean, after that game in Toronto, through the Cincinnati start, his previous start, that Billy was 59 plate appearances when he was in the stretch. Opponents were hitting about 423 off him with an OPS around 1,200. So pretty good sample size. And he just was really getting hurt out of the stretch. So Ricky kind of dove into that. Sure enough, today he pitched much better out of the stretch. Talked afterwards how they kind of adjusted some things, where he was holding his hands, felt a little more comfortable pitching out of the stretch, and got himself out of trouble in the second inning with a couple of guys on and one out, and pitched well, got a couple strikeouts. So it's an ongoing adjustment thing for him. But yeah, no, just to have that reliability from him. Okay, 7 innings, 7 shutout innings, that he can kind of fall in line after the big 3 of Wheeler, Suarez, and Sanchez, because you need it. You need that stability in the 4 spot, because right now the 5 spot's kind of a question mark. So really good to see him get back on track. Last start before the break, he'll get some time off. I imagine they'll have him lined up pretty soon thereafter, after the break, whether it be that Angel series or not, and see how he does with a little extended break here. But a good way to go into the break, because if you had another rough one, then you have 2 question marks in the rotation. You don't need that.
Yeah, no, you do not, especially heading into the break and the trade deadline coming up soon. We'll get to that a little later. Speaking of, we didn't even mention it off the top here. What a fun episode this is, huh?
Yes.
You and I got to sit down. Yeah, we completely buried the lead.
Yeah.
We got to sit down with Chase Utley coming up here. That will be coming up shortly, but I still want to get on this offense real quick. We'll wrap up on Jesus too real fast. I mean, it was just great to see. He just had everything working today too. And you could tell the confidence level was there. And he said that confidence level has been there all season.
Mm-hmm.
He's had some of those starts where he's gone out and said he's felt the best he's physically felt all season. And then he allowed, 6 earned runs, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Tonight, it just looked like he was dialed in from the start. And when you have an offense sparking like that, it really helps. Man, 7 runs in that 8th inning. It's the most runs they scored in an inning this season.
Yeah.
They were 6 for 17 with runners in scoring position, obviously on Tuesday.
For that. Yeah.
Man, yeah, they ended that 0 for 26. We'll get to Tuesday's disaster of a game at some point here too. But just what can you say about the offense? I mean, everyone had a hit. Everyone had an RBI.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, just kidding. Trey Turner did not have a hit.
He had an RBI, though.
He did have an RBI.
Yep.
But the offense really, really needed this game. And hopefully they can carry that to San Diego.
Yeah, and Schwarber for the second straight game goes deep. Hit a big home run on Tuesday night into the Cove, and then he went the other way on Wednesday. So he's got 29 dingers now, which is not only 4th in all of baseball, but it's also 2 behind Mike Schmidt's franchise record of 31 home runs before the All-Star break. 31 home runs in a season before the break. So outside shot, he could go down to San Diego and hit a couple and tie that record.
We've seen him hit some tanks in San Diego before.
Yeah, that's a good point. Darvish lined up to pitch, I think, in the series. So
here we go.
But yeah, no, it was good to see the offense top to bottom. It was a struggle. The runners in scoring possession, especially the end of that Cincinnati series into the San Francisco series, just seemed like they couldn't get a big hit. And when they finally did get a big hit Tuesday from Schwarber, the game ends how it ends. So nice to see the offense come out and bust it open. But, more props to Luzardo, because you see a 13-0 score, you think it was a laugher. No, it was close. It was close pretty much the whole time Luzardo was in the game. It got to 4-0 in the 7th inning.
Yep.
But, that's still a competitive game before they broke it open. So good offense, good starting pitching, good formula, and a nice win that they really needed before heading to San Diego.
That they did. And I guess we'll reflect now. We'll go positive to negative, as we like to do here.
Yeah.
The first 2 games, just oof. And then you have the disaster on Tuesday night.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Romano, man, I don't like it. Stinks. And like, just like Taijuan Walker kind of took it on the chin every single time last season in the post-game press conferences, whether it was in the locker room, wherever it was, he kind of admitted that, like, hey, I'm not good right now. And he gave you the best sound bites. Jordan Romano was doing that this year now. I feel for him. I really do. I know Phillies fans aren't too happy with his performance right now. He's not too happy with his performance right now. He even said, he mentioned after the loss last night that it's just weird. He feels like he can get on a roll. He gets hot and then something bad happens. He allows 300 runs, 400 runs, and it's a blow up. Right. And he feels good again. And then he allows another blow up inning. I get the people saying, comes out for a 5 out save. I mean, he threw 5 pitches in the 8th inning.
Yeah.
I'm sending him back out there again for the 9th. Now, if he labored a little bit in the 8th inning, then you think about it. And we'll get to Rod Thompson's bullpen decisions here before we get to Chase too. But you got to feel for him, do you?
Yeah, absolutely, Romano. Yeah, because you said he stands up and he seems like he's a stand-up guy. He faces the music after every outing. Yeah, he was good in the 8th inning. Daniel Robert got into a mess, and Romano came in, 5 pitches, as you said, gets 2 outs, and they wanted to go back to him in the 9th. We didn't know at the time that Kerkering wasn't available. He had pitched the previous night. That was the Phil Cuzzy game where he got squeezed in the Matt Chapman at bat. Threw 25 pitches, I think, and in that game that they ended up losing. But we thought, okay, he'd be available. And then obviously once he's not warming up at any point, he's not. And they're going to try to get 5 outs from Romano, which didn't work out in that 9th inning. But
and what can you do, though? I mean, have you ever seen anything like that last night?
No. The way it ended?
Tuesday,
no. No, it was crazy. Like, obviously, he gives up the couple of hits earlier in the inning. The one almost took his head off right up the middle. That wasn't a good sign. And then Bailey, I thought it was gone off the bat. I think a lot of people did. And then it takes that bounce. I can't blame Brandon Marsh for how that happened.
No.
Hit that specific spot that just shoots it, 100 yards down towards dead center field. But
it bricks out there too, so God knows where that ball was going to go regardless.
Yeah. But it was tough, and I don't know. Like Rob Thompson talked about, like Kerkering wasn't available, and said what you said, that Romano only threw 5 pitches. I thought he was strong enough to finish the job, type of deal. But I mean, when you have Walker pitching, and he did a great job over 4 innings, but you're going to need 15 outs from your bullpen. And for a while there, it was happening. Banks pitched great. Lazar pitched great. They got some good innings from these guys. Strom was excellent in the 7th inning. They said they liked Strom in that matchup in the 7th earlier against some of their hitters. But yeah, it's just like it's kind of like you're trying to piece it all together, and there's not a lot of dominant pieces out there, especially if Kerkering isn't available. So, what do you want Rob Thompson to do, to try to rely on 5 different guys to get the job done? Usually when you do that, one guy doesn't, and that's what we saw on Tuesday.
So we'll talk about the decision now. Here's the thing. Tanner Banks has arguably been your best left-hand reliever because Matt Strom's been struggling.
Yeah.
Tanner Banks has come in and shut it down.
Mm-hmm.
Max Lazar has come in and shut it down.
A nice job.
You have Joe Ross warming up in the 9th inning with Romano struggling the way he did. You throw Daniel Robert out there in the 8th inning.
Right.
You threw Strom in the 7th. Lazar and Banks, who have been your 2 best relievers in maybe the last 2 or 3 weeks. Since Lazar's been up here, I've trusted Max Lazar way more than arguably Matt Strom, definitely Jordan Romano, and 10,000% Daniel Robert.
Right.
It shook me why Rob decided to do that, and it came back and bit him in the butt. But
Dan Robb was in there in the 8th.
Dan Robb
in a 3-1 game. It was surprising to see that spot for Daniel Robert. I agree. Joe Ross, it just seems like he's generally just like a mop-up guy now.
Throw him in the 6th inning.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then keep Lazar later in the game.
Yeah, it's tough. And like I said, you're trying to mix and match with this bullpen at the moment, which hopefully they have some stronger arms coming on the way in a couple of months, or a couple of weeks. But it's tough right now with the names you have in that pen to try to mix and match and try to get all these guys to kind of hold that lead, which it didn't happen the other night. But we shall see how it plays out here in a couple of weeks. But obviously, I think it laid bare the fact that this bullpen right now, as constructed, isn't strong enough, and they're going to hopefully do something about that before the deadline here at the end of the month. Yeah,
and just with Lazar real quick, I mean, since June 11th, he's thrown 14 innings and allowed 3 earned runs.
Yeah,
I trust him right now. I trust him way more than Joe Ross or Jordan Romano or any of those guys. So
he's been good.
Yeah, so we'll see, and it comes down to too, which we'll get to after the Chase Utley interview here, which is coming up. But I mean, I guess Rob's playing the cards that are dealt to him. Yeah, you don't have Jose Alvarado,
right?
You have Seth Johnson, Daniel Robert, and those guys in the pen.
Yeah.
It solidifies the point that they need a bullpen arm and fast.
Exactly.
Because those are the guys that Rob's dealt with. And I just think that Tanner Banks and Max Lazar should have been later in the game. That's just my opinion, because I think they're arguably your best relievers in the pen besides Ryan Kerkering right now.
Right. No, I agree. I agree for sure. And it's, again, what he's dealing with right now, but
And if Kerkering's only throwing 25 pitches and not being available the next day, obviously Ricky Bowe mentioned this on post game. He obviously didn't pitch Sunday. Zach Wheeler dominated.
Right.
25 pitches, man. You can't come back out.
Yeah, and I guess he was sore the next day. He said he was sore coming in on Tuesday, so they're going to stay away from him. So that changed, because on Monday they said we got him out of there when they did, because they lifted him from the game after 25 pitches so he could be available the following night, which he wasn't because he was a little sore. But hopefully it doesn't seem to be anything that's going to carry into this next series against the Padres. But it's a high wire act for Rob Thompson right now with this bullpen, especially when you're asking for 15 outs. And it kind of blew up on him on Tuesday night. But the good thing about, knock on wood, the starters they have going in San Diego is they get some length from these guys, and they don't need to kind of piece together 4 innings from their bullpen. It can just be an inning or 2 or 3, perhaps.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And listen, if Ryan Kirkering, if we're saving him for the playoffs, if he's feeling a little sore right now in July before the All-Star break, that's fine.
Yep.
I get that. But we also need you in the ninth inning.
Yeah. And I think in the playoffs, too, not to belabor the bullpen point, but I think you're going to get some new arms, a.k.a. Jesus Luzardo, Andrew Painter, some guys like that. Because I think, especially in the DS, obviously the wild card series, if they play one of those, but in the DS, you really only need 3 starters, the way it's all spread out. And right now they have 3 starters who have really separated themselves. Aaron Nola could be a bullpen option come postseason time, depending on what he does over the last 2 months. So they'll have some new options in addition to hopefully a few trade acquisitions too. So the bullpen's going to look a lot different come October. But right now you're asking a lot of the guys that they currently have in there.
All right, Kaner, switching gears real quick. You know why? Football season is quickly approaching. We're about 8 weeks away from the Eagles hosting the Cowboys on Thursday Night Football. They'll be raising that beautiful Super Bowl banner. I'm pretty fired up. You have to be too.
Super fired up. Birds coming off of the Super Bowl win. NFL season not far away, like you said. I'm excited. I'm ready to see the Eagles defend that Super Bowl trophy. Should be a fun year.
Oh, it's going to be a fun year. And you know what else is always fun? Our friends at Philly Sports Trips. Join NBC Sports Philadelphia and Philly Sports Trips for the ultimate fan experience. Lock in your spot today and be a part of the Birds takeover in Kansas City. It's the weekend of September 13th through the 16th. Rematch of the Super Bowl. Game is going to be electric. We already know that. We can't wait for those Birds, and we can't wait for that game. Book now. All right, let's get to the Chase Utley interview because what a fun time. What a fun interview. It was great that Chase joined us. He's at the American Century Championship, which is one of the most high-profile celeb former athletes currently, golf tournament out in Lake Tahoe in California. So if you're watching on YouTube, please note that where Chase is sitting in his backdrop, that's not fake. That's real.
That's legit.
It's beautiful out in Lake Tahoe. If you're listening, though, enjoy it. Here's Chase Utley from the American Century Championship. We welcome in the legend, Phillies legend, Chase Utley, sitting in beautiful Lake Tahoe, getting ready for the American Century Championship. Chase, how you doing, man? You look great. The setting looks great. How's everything going?
Yeah, I mean, how do you beat this setting behind me? Everything's going fantastic. We just got off the course to have a practice round. The course is playing great, slightly challenging on the greens, but all is good. I'm doing well. I'm just happy to be up here at Lake Tahoe at the American Century Championship.
How about it, man? And it's the biggest, it's the country's most prominent athletes and celebrities. It's a huge golf tournament. There's a lot of big names in this tournament. We'll start with that. Obviously, you got guys like Jason Kelce, Charles Barkley. Then you have former teammates like Jimmy Rollins, Shane Victorino, Jason Worth.
Yeah.
Steph Curry's there. Then you have Miles Teller and Rob McElhenney. How are you feeling going in here?
I feel like we have a strong Philly contingent. Obviously, Jimmy Rollins and Shane Victorino, Jason Worth are here. Then you add on Miles and Rob. That's 6 of us from Philadelphia plus Charles. I like our chances.
I like that. And like you said, big Philly contingency there. Maybe next year we can bring it towards here. Obviously, we just had the Truist Open in Philly. Maybe next year you can talk to those guys and maybe bring it here, huh?
Yeah, I feel like you should make it work. You guys should come out here for a week or so. Yeah,
that sounds better to me. Sean Kane,
Chase, question for you. How is the golf game? I know living in England, have you gotten to play a lot? Have you played any of the great historic courses over that way in England and Scotland? Just curious how much you've been able to play.
Yeah, the game's okay. The game's, there's some good shots in there, but there's still, unfortunately, too many bad shots. But to answer your question, I was lucky enough to make some friends that were golfers when we were in London. So yeah, I probably played a good 20 rounds or so up in Scotland and hit all the great ones. Played in the St. Andrews area, obviously St. Andrews, but a few of the other ones. Went to Royal Dornoch, Northern Scotland, which was an amazing course. Went to Aberdeen. We were down right below Edinburgh. So yeah, we made our rounds around Scotland, and if you haven't done it, it's something that you should definitely put on the bucket list, because Scotland golf, there's nothing like it. You're kind of out in the terrain. You're exposed to the elements. Some days are 72 degrees and sunny. Some days are 55 and sideways wind. So you never know what you're going to deal with. But the experience is phenomenal.
Now, Chase, you're currently the favorite among all the Philly athletes You're 201 to win. Jimmy's 301. Worth is 250 to 1. And Shane is 350 to 1. Is there any pressure?
No pressure. I mean, there's no pressure whatsoever. Listen, I've noticed that Shane, at least on Instagram, is playing a lot of golf. So I'm not sure those odds are totally accurate. I know Jason was playing a lot of golf prior to him getting into the horse world. So I'm not sure how much he's playing these days. And I imagine Jimmy's playing quite a bit. So yeah, it'll be a good competition amongst the four of us. And we'll see who comes out top. I think last year I snuck out on top. We'll see how it goes this year.
I love that. And now one last golf question, then we'll get into the Phils this season. What current Philly would you want to play with that would guarantee you to win a scramble in this tournament or any tournament? What current Philly would you want to golf with?
I mean, I don't know who plays golf.
JT is unreal.
Okay, well then JT, no brainer. Yeah, JT Realmuto is my guy for sure.
I like that. Sure.
Speaking of the current team, the current Phils, Chase, I don't know how much you've been able to watch as we get close to the All-Star break here.
Right.
Currently tied with the Mets, but generally a pretty good first half of the season. Really good starting pitching. Just kind of your overview on what you've seen from the Phils when you're able to watch them this year.
Yeah, nothing has changed over the past few years. Meaning they have a strong team. They have an amazing offense, and like you said, their pitching staff has dialed it up a bit. Obviously, with Zach Wheeler leading the charge there, he's a pretty special pitcher and really extremely fun to watch and not fun to face. And obviously, as we all know, the offense is strong. So listen, I like their chances as I've liked their chances the last few years. It's all about timing, getting hot at the right time. And if they can get hot at the right time, they have a wonderful chance to go where they want to go.
I love that. And obviously we're getting close to the trade deadline here, Chase. What do you think that this team should do? Obviously, we talked about the Zach Wheeler window possibly closing. He might have 2 years left. He talked about retirement after that contract expires. Are you willing for this team to kind of go all in? Obviously, they need some bullpen help. They need maybe another right-handed bat in the lineup. Are you going to give up the farm to kind of go all in here if you were Dave Dombrowski?
Unclear. Listen, I think they have a strong team as is. And I would imagine Dave has been doing this for a long time, and he knows how to add the right pieces at the right time. So I would trust his judgment, especially in these times. And I know from ownership's perspective, they want to win. So when you have those two things aligned, usually good things happen.
Chase, I got one more for you about the current team. We just mentioned their starting pitching.
Yep.
You can relate to the staffs you guys had, 2011 specifically,
Right.
But even before that, so many great pitchers. I guess one, how do you compare kind of that group of Doc and Cliff and Cole and Roy Oswalt to the group they have now? And just as an everyday player, what a luxury it is, pretty much every game sending one of those guys to the mound where they can kind of do it again this year with Zach and Ranger and Cristopher Sanchez and Aaron Nola when he's healthy. Just how big of a luxury is that, having a guy that gives you a good chance to win pretty much every day? Yeah,
I mean, good starting pitching at the end of the day usually beats good hitting. So having some strong starters on your team is only going to be beneficial. And yeah, we had some amazing starters for us over the years, and same with this current group. So yes, from a starting pitching aspect, they're in a good spot.
Obviously, your former teammate, best friend, one of your best friends on the team, Jimmy Rollins, is getting inducted into the Wall of Fame here in August.
Yep.
Just your perspective on that, man. It's quite an honor. And are you a little jealous that he's getting in before you?
One, it is an honor. I mean, there's so many amazing players that have come through Philadelphia, and Jimmy, in my opinion, I think in everyone's opinion, deserves to be in the Phillies Wall of Fame. The best shortstop ever to put on a Phillies uniform. He was, as you guys know, he was our spark plug, and he was there pretty much on a daily basis, motivating us, and we kind of followed his lead. So I'm happy for him. I'm not jealous whatsoever. Maybe one day I'll be in there, but I'm happy for Jimmy for now.
I love that.
In addition to Jimmy, they're honoring Ed Wade too. And
yes.
I think obviously you're familiar with Ed, and he's a guy that I think kind of flies under the radar when you talk about that nucleus that you guys had for all those years. He was the guy that kind of put you guys together, drafted yourself, drafted a lot of other guys. And, he wasn't there when you finally reached the pinnacle. But I guess just your thoughts on the impact he had in kind of laying the foundation for those glory years that you were a part of.
Yeah, I think he had a huge impact. Obviously, as you mentioned, he drafted me. I believe he drafted Ryan Howard. He drafted Jimmy Rollins. He drafted a bunch of the core guys that were instrumental in kind of getting to the team to where we wanted to go. So he's definitely has a huge fingerprint on the success that we have. And without Ed Wade, I'm not sure we would have been in the place that we were.
Awesome. Just a few more here, Chase. Thank you for doing this too. So Sean Kane is our pre and post game producer for Phillies Pregame Live.
Yeah.
We're doing our quarter century team, and we're not going to give any spoilers away. But right now, there's a good chance you're going to be our starting second baseman. Where does that rank in terms of all your accolades? Where would that one rank for the NBC Sports Philadelphia quarter century Phillies team?
Oh, I mean, it's right up there. I think it's right up there with any accolade you could possibly get. I appreciate the support. I hope the votes still keep coming my way. But yes, it ranks up there quite high.
Yeah, it's a heavy 08 group there at first base,
would
second
imagine,
base, shortstop. Yeah. So we got Scott Rowland at third base though. So
Yeah,
it's a good
good
squad.
one.
We got some current guys, so it's pretty good. But congrats on that honor.
Yeah, you have a lot to choose from. You can't go wrong with anybody.
Exactly right. I just did want to ask you about yourself personally. We know about the role you've had the last couple of years overseas for Major League Baseball. I guess everybody, especially everybody around here, is kind of waiting to see, what's Chase going to do next? Given that you're such a baseball guy, a baseball lifer. I know manager has been thrown around, coaching's been thrown around. Just what do you kind of envision for yourself? I know you still have your boys to raise, but what's next for Chase Utley in terms of baseball?
That's a good question. My wife asks me that on every other day. But to your point, yeah, I still have two young boys. They're 10 and 13. I've really enjoyed watching them grow up, becoming little men, if you will. So that's my main focus at this point. Obviously, I love baseball. I'll never get too far away from baseball. But time will tell. I'm not unclear what the immediate future looks like, but just know that I will stay in baseball in some capacity. So there you go.
And speaking of that, just your last question here. You're ambassador in Europe for the Major League Baseball. Obviously, you and I were in London last year having a great time with that home run derby.
Yeah.
Is there anything new in the works with the ambassador to Europe? Obviously we had the London series last year. Is there anything possibly maybe next season fans can look out for?
Yeah, we're working on London season for next season, London series for next season as well. And again, I mean, we talked a little bit about it, but just trying to expose Europe to baseball, because it's not a natural sport to their culture. And it's, we're slowly but surely we're making an impact on just exposing it and getting people more aware of what the sport's all about. And then now the next step is to get some people to play it a little bit more often. So we're slowly chipping away. And I've really enjoyed my role in doing that. We'll see what the future holds.
Awesome. Well, hey, you can catch Chase Utley on Peacock starting in round 1 and Friday in the American Century Championship. And then he will be on NBC 10 here in Philadelphia on Saturday starting at 2:30. Chase, best of luck out there. I hope everything goes well, and I'm sure it will.
Yeah, I need some luck. I appreciate it. Thanks, fellas.
Thanks, Chase.
Yep.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate it. Well, he's still the man. He is still the man. Obviously, I think one of his biggest accolades is making our Phillies quarter century team.
Yes. Yeah. World Series champion, all-stars. And I think he's going to end up in Cooperstown in a couple of years. That's all nice, but quarter century second baseman for the Phillies pregame live crew. That's a big honor for him. And it was good to talk to him. He'd been bothering us for a while. He wanted to come on the pod.
That's right.
And we just couldn't work him in earlier in the season.
That's right.
It was nice to have finally carve out 10 minutes, 15 minutes for Chase and catch up with him. But he seems like he's doing good.
Especially freshly off the golf course, too.
Yeah.
Gives us a ring. Hey, I want to talk to you guys.
Right.
No way. Us.
How about all those courses he was playing over in England and Scotland, too,
dude.
man? Tough life over there.
Tough life.
Playing all those beautiful, historically unbelievable courses.
Hey, and you mentioned, I know he talked about his kids growing up slowly but surely, but
yeah.
Can you imagine Chase Utley, the manager?
Yeah.
Maybe not here, somewhere.
I think so. I mean, I don't know if that's what he has in mind specifically, but coaching always seemed like something he didn't, automatically kind of turn down and say, I don't know about that. He always seemed like he was kind of interested in that. And in this town, obviously, it's tough to think of anybody more popular. which will be interesting because if Chase Utley's your manager and he makes a few questionable bullpen decisions, then Chase Utley's going to start getting ripped like every other manager. So that would be pretty funny. But no, I think he'll be back in some capacity, whether it's with the Phillies, maybe the Dodgers, if he decides he wants to live back in his native LA with his family out there. But I do think Chase will be back in the mix somehow in baseball, which will be great because it'll be better when Chase Utley's involved for sure.
And he's clearly not jealous of Jimmy. That was a silly question by me.
Trying to spark a little animosity.
I was trying to, man. And he did not.
No,
he did not. He did not. But
what did he say? Hopefully, if I get my turn to go on the wall, what do you think? You think he's going to go on the Wall of Fame?
I have a strong thought that he will definitely
yes
join Jimmy Rollins and Ryan Howard at some point out there on the Phillies Wall of Fame. Looking forward to that Jimmy induction too. That's coming up August 1st, and Ed Wade as well. So should be fun. All right, let's get back to it real quick. I have beef, and the beef is with two starting pitchers in the National League that are on the 2025 All-Star team.
Okay.
That shouldn't be there. And we have two guys on the Phillies that I think should be there. One for sure.
Yeah.
I heard this there was an ESPN clip from somebody talking about it, and it fired me up. The fact that Clayton Kershaw is on this All-Star team.
Yeah.
It is making me furious. Like, when I tune into the All-Star game, I want to see the best players currently.
Right.
I don't want to see washed up Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah, it's not the 2011 All-Star game.
He's remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
First ballot Hall of Famer.
Yep.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
3,000 career strikeouts now. Like, everything is there for Clayton Kershaw.
Mm-hmm.
But when he only has like 10 starts here before the All-Star game.
Right.
He obviously clearly doesn't have it as much anymore. I get this whole exempt thing and legendary thing, whatever. But like, what are we going to call David Ortiz to come back and be like, hey, David, you want to spot in the All-Star team?
Yeah. And it's been a couple years now since Kershaw has really been a, reliable option for the Dodgers rotation. And it'd be another thing, like if he was from Atlanta or if it was they were playing at Dodger Stadium.
Sure.
Like, what are we doing? Do people really need to see? I'm with you.
So now he's 11-time All-Star now.
Yeah.
And like,
and meanwhile, Cristopher Sanchez,
what are we doing?
Barring replacing someone else, doesn't make it, which is absurd. Like Cristopher Sanchez, I can't believe he wasn't involved initially. I can't believe he hasn't been named as replacement yet to this point. Maybe he will be. But the fact that he's not, I think he's one of the best 5 starting pitchers in the National League.
Yes.
Pretty easily.
Yes.
The numbers say so. He was an all-star last year. It's not a fluke. Obviously, I guess he tends to be the forgotten man. He's not as flashy as some others, big name as some others. But yeah, I agree. I think Chris Sanchez really got hosed. And I'm with you that I'm not really clamoring to see Clayton Kershaw pitch in this game.
And the stand on my milk crate real quick, or milk box, whatever it's called.
Soapbox?
Yeah.
Milk crate works too.
The old milk crate, soapbox. Yeah. But then Yamamoto isn't pitching now. So what did the MLB does? They put in Andrew Abbott, the guy from the Cincinnati Reds, who the Phillies just lit up this past weekend.
Yeah.
No Cristopher Sanchez.
Very strange.
It makes no sense. Cristopher Sanchez is by far, I think, top 5 best pitcher in the National League.
Yeah.
And he completely deserves it. And I love Rod Thompson's comments. He was asked about it the other day in San Francisco. Like, do you think he's bummed? And he's like, in his eyes, he's an all-star. And that's all. And this year coming in, the big thing for Cristopher Sanchez, I guess the past 2 years, was his confidence. Mm-hmm. And Rob Thompson said he's the most confident that he's seen him. So I think in Cristopher Sanchez's eyes, he's an all-star. There's still a chance that he makes it by next week, but it's ridiculous that he hasn't got replaced or been a replacement.
Yeah.
For this, sorry,
I'm with you. And Rangers got a case too, and his case is, he doesn't have enough innings. Well, Andrew Abbott didn't have enough innings to qualify among the ERA leaders coming to that start against the Phillies. So,
and Kershaw either.
Yeah, he's got a couple more starts than Ranger, but I don't know. Yeah, it's strange. You would think they'd want the best guys involved, but now with Sanchez pitching Sunday in San Diego, he wouldn't be eligible or he wouldn't pitch in the game. But you can still name the guy an all-star.
Fine.
So he has that, 2-time all-star next to his name, and hopefully more to come down the road. But yeah, I'm with you. It's a joke. He wasn't. I thought he had a good case. I thought Ranger had a good case. Trey had a good case. I mean, it's a first place team we're talking about, and only having 2 all-stars where some of the other teams have, much more than that is, I think, a little questionable for sure.
And look, I get the voting and I get whatever, but it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Especially, like you said, it's a first place team. It's frustrating to me.
You get on your milk crate and you talk about it.
Exactly.
You get the milk crate out.
And listen, Dave Roberts, if you're listening to this, if you better start Zach Wheeler.
Yeah.
At least we can take that away. He'd become the first Philly to start the All-Star game since Roy Halladay in 2011. Start him.
Yeah,
Dave
I
Roberts.
think so. He's pitching Saturday in San Diego, so he would line up to be able to throw an inning if needed on Tuesday, and then still, be back after the break. So yes, it's his hometown. He's older now. Who knows? I think he'll be an all-star if he stays healthy the next few years. But, the opportunities seemingly are winding down for Zach Wheeler, whereas Paul Skeens, you think, would have a few more cracks at this thing to start. He's already started one. So I think it's a 2-horse race between those two guys. I think Zach Wheeler should start, and I expect him to start. I'd be surprised if they go with Skeens again. But
it'd be a little win as I jump off my
maybe
milk box.
Dave Roberts goes to Kershaw, gives Kershaw the ball. Maybe he starts. You go Kershaw, Abbott, kind of work those guys in, give the fans what they want.
Yeah, then throw Skeens. Then, don't even throw Skeens.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Exactly.
Whatever. Or Zach. God, if that happens, I'll be very angry.
Yeah.
We'll vent about it on the pod. Maybe we'll get Chase in here. We'll vent about it on the pod.
Chase will be back on soon, I'm sure.
Of course.
Yep.
All right, 2 quick things. We'll get a preview of this Padres series, but first I want to hit on the trade deadline coming up here. You mentioned Jesus Luzardo to the pen is really enticing.
Yeah.
You throw another lefty in there. Now, however, there's some of these talks that if you want, someone under control. So like Fairbanks from the Rays and Ryan Helsley from the Cardinals.
Yeah.
You won't have control over them.
Right.
But Duran and Clase, you could have control.
Yeah.
If the
Pirates guys too, I think, are both
and Bednar
and Santana.
Right.
Santana.
But I keep saying this on every pod, but if you're Dave Dombrowski, obviously I wouldn't give up Miller, Painter, Crawford for Helsley or Fairbanks. I'd possibly think about giving them up for somebody that's going to be under team control over the next 2+ years. Would you do that? Would you give up, say, Miller or Crawford? Obviously, I think Painter's still untouchable.
Yeah.
But would you give up Miller maybe and Crawford for a guy like Clase?
Yeah, I'd be more inclined probably to give up Crawford than Miller. But I know Crawford's closer and he could end up helping him out this year. So you take that into consideration. But yeah, I think it comes down to, unless you want them to do what they've done the last couple of deadlines where they don't really get any impact additions, if you're going to get an impact guy, especially one that could be around next year too, you're going to have to give up somebody. You're not going to be able to just to ship a couple of mid-level prospects and get a top line reliever that's under control for a year or two. So yeah, if it comes down to it and it's the right match and it's the right guy and they need bullpen help, yes, I'm not getting rid of Painter. Probably not Aiden Miller unless it's, really a great offer. But anybody else, yes, I'm down for giving up whomever else it takes to get that bullpen in a little better shape, because you got to go for it now. As we know, this window is not going to be open forever. The age of these guys in the lineup and in the rotation in some cases too.
And it really is we mentioned it in the interview with Chase. It's really the Wheeler window that's closing fast. You have 2 years here. Get it done.
Yeah.
I would be very hesitant to give Aid Miller. I'm a big Aid Miller guy. I've talked to him down in spring training a bunch the last 2 years.
Right.
He's such a good kid. I think he's the next Austin Riley.
Wow.
It would scare me to get rid of him, especially the way we've seen these Phillies teams kind of go all in, and then all of a sudden the 2012 Phillies happen and you're kind of like, oh no, what's happening?
Yeah.
But it'd be tough. I would be way more hesitant to get rid of Miller, but if it's for Clase and maybe Stephen Kwan.
Ooh, Stephen Kwan. That'd be interesting. I saw his name. Yeah. I've seen his name. Yeah. Left fielder, great glove, really good bat. The fact that he would be available surprises me, but I like the idea of adding him to the outfield. And if Jaron Duran's really available in Boston, sign me up for that guy. I think he's a really talented dude. Had a huge year last year, hasn't been as good this year, but still young, still athletic. Could really help them out offensively in the outfield. So if he's available and Dombrowski's got some connections up in Boston, don't be shocked if that's an option too.
Yeah, it could be fun.
Yeah.
So we're sit down here on July 9th. We're just about 3 weeks away, exactly 3 weeks away today. From or tomorrow, I guess.
Yeah.
Whatever.
3 weeks from the 10th, Thursday the 31st.
Yeah. And this podcast will come up Thursday. So there you go. Should be fun. We'll get into that a little bit more as the All-Star break kind of comes to an end here. And then, hey, real fast, you mentioned it. They got the 3 horsemen going in San Diego this weekend. Obviously, they've had good times out in San Diego. They've had some rough times out there, but obviously everyone thinks about that 2022 NLCS. So Suarez on Friday, Zach Wheeler on Saturday, and then Cristopher Sanchez on Sunday to wrap it up.
Yep. And Wheeler just faced San Diego about a week and a half ago. Was excellent. Sanchez pitched very well against them as well. You got your 3 guys lined up to get a series win here going into the break. Hopefully Ranger can set the tone on Friday night, see how Zach follows up his masterpiece his last time out. And then Sanchez, one more time to prove everybody that he should be in the All-Star game or at least on the All-Star team. So yeah, no, I think it's setting up well for them. The Padres are, a talented team. They just took 2 or 3 from here not too long ago, end of June into early July, about a week and a half ago. So I expect them to win this series. If you take 2 out of 3, then you get a 3-3 road trip, which is, I think, what I said going into this.
That is exactly what you said.
3-3 is okay. 4-2 would be great, but 3-3 would be fine. So luckily they got that last one in San Fran, and then you win a series here, you get a 500 trip heading into the break, and I think that's a good way to go in. So yeah, I expect them to, with these starters lined up, to take 2 out of 3 at least.
That would be it'd be pretty sweet heading into the All-Star break. And the Phillies have a half-game lead over the New York Mets right now in the National League East. The Mets game got postponed tonight in Baltimore. They will have a doubleheader on Thursday. So yeah, take a half-game lead, finish this road trip 3-3 would be kind of sweet.
Yeah, man.
Because obviously the last road trip they'd finished 2-4 and they were still holding 2-game lead over the Mets in the National League East. So how you feeling, by the way? We just got through. We talked about
late nights this week.
Dude.
Yeah, we were grinding this week with the late nights into the earlier start today, or pardon me, Wednesday. I'm good, man.
Yeah,
I'm good.
Makes one of us.
Makes one. I'm good. We were getting ready for the game today with Verlander pitching, and we're during the pregame show, and our director, who's Chloe's great director, younger, just not too far removed from Temple.
She's the best.
Like, oh my God, he's 42. I'm like, yeah, it's a good age. You got a lot of life in you, and you're 42. And she was like, oh yeah, I should have read the room a little better before I made that. Like, you would have thought, oh my God, the guy actually got out of bed and is able to pitch today. He's 42 years old. So I'm here, I'm grinding. So, you're still getting it done. You can get it done. You can feel good in your 40s. It's possible.
That's right, baby. That's exactly right. And I'll tell you what, Verlander looked really good in that first few innings.
Yeah.
He looked dangerous. That curveball was working. Bryce mentioned that in postgame too. He was working it. So I'm exhausted though. You can probably hear it in my voice. I'm very tired.
Way to battle.
Hey, we got a nice little trip to Seattle this weekend.
There you go.
So I'll see Jason Kelsey and my boy Seattle Steve out there.
Nice. The OD will cure it all.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. So, all right, man. Well, hey, we're heading to San Diego. Well, we're not, but the Phils are. And then we'll catch you guys before the All-Star break. Hopefully, maybe recapping that Padres series on Sunday. If not, maybe before the second half starts after the Home Run Derby and the All-Star festivities on Tuesday. Maybe we'll talk to you guys hopefully before that next series, which, goodness.
Angels
at home.
Angels at home.
Let's go.
Angels coming in out of the break. Yes.
There you go.
Yep.
All right. Well, hey, hope you guys enjoyed Chase. Hopefully maybe we'll have him on another time soon.
No doubt.
Obviously he was clamoring to be on.
Yep.
So glad we made some time for him.
Yep.
But for Sean Kane, I'm Spencer Kircher. We'll catch you guys next weekend.